Broads Media.
I couldn't tell you the last time I whipped out the 76ers tee with the matching 76ers hat. Why did I choose today to be the day? I have no idea. I don't love Jared McCain that much. All right? I don't hate the pick, and we'll get into it. Hey, if you're new here, though, welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate it. If you are looking to take me on the road with you and utilize your Bluetooth in your car driving to work, all of these beautiful pods are on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. And if you leave a 5-star rating and a review, that will help out the algorithm so much. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You're the greatest. Lastly, there are memberships here on YouTube where you get access to Coffee with Broads live streams twice a week and access to our Discord channel, which is a 24/7 chat room with the entire membership group. It's super fun. All the information is down below in the description. Thank you all so much for hanging out and enjoy the show. What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. So the 76ers select Jared McCain at 16 from Duke. My instant reaction was, I like the move. I don't think it's a bad move. Was it my favorite, considering Connect was available? No, I would have leaned Connect from Tennessee. Older, 23 years old, averaged about 22 points per game. I like what he brings more than McCain. With that said, I don't even know if who they select is going to be here. I think it's all part of the bigger plan so Daryl Morey can make a splash in a trade. And the reason they lean towards the rookie coming out of Duke with a skill set of shooting is because there's more flexibility and versatility in that when you pick up the phone trying to see what he can get back in town. The kid can actually shoot the basketball at an insanely effective clip. He shot over 50% from three in the NCAA tournament. He dropped 30-plus points against NC State and against JMU. And he had a huge 30-plus point effort in the regular season on the road against Florida State. And he's doing this on high-volume shooting as well. 8 attempts from behind the arc per game in the big dance. And he shot in the regular season 41% from distance. So he could do it. And there's been so many damn prospects over the years and a ton of different draft picks that we had to wonder if they knew how to keep their elbow in. We had to rework the shots. Yeah, but if they learn how to shoot. No. This isn't a if they learn how to shoot thing. He could shoot. But I guess, considering I don't really know if the end goal is him to be on this team, how much I should invest emotionally in the kid. I love his personality. He's a Tyrese Maxey type, and I think that's actually going to help him because, unfortunately, there will be douchebags in this city that are going to write him off just because they see what he does on social media and they see what he does with his nails and how he paints them. Look, I don't care what he does on TikTok. I don't care if he dances with his teammates. I don't care if he paints his nails. I want him to shoot the ball well and provide a spark for this team, bring the work ethic, be a good teammate, be a good Samaritan in the city, and there's no doubt that I believe that that's the type of kid he is. But the fact that we already have a smiley, energetic kid in town, I think it makes it easier for him because it could almost be the duo. The Bash brothers from Mighty Ducks, except the complete opposite. Those two were hardo goons that would beat up people. These two are the smiley, goofy, young, energetic, spunky kids. So there are going to be some to write him off instantly and to have their jokes or whatever, but I think that he can bring an element to this team that they need in shooting. The ceiling is probably capped because of his size. And I do wonder how we can project him and Maxey to be on the floor together. Defensively, that could be an issue, regardless on how hard he works, because I hear that a lot lately over the last, hour of reading up on the experts and what they're saying about, maybe his defense isn't going to be as bad, even though the size is what the size is. He can really battle, and he's willing. Yeah, that's great. Maxey's willing, and Maxey has huge deficiencies defensively, so that can only get you so far. But to McCain's credit, I do think his floor is super high. I think he could be a really good sixth man, a really good secondary guard, and blossom into that. Once again, if he's even here. Think Fred VanVleet. Could he be Fred VanVleet as a smaller guard? I'm just spitballing. Seth Curry is another name that was thrown around town as an example. They have their deficiencies, but if you can go lights out like Seth can go lights out, Seth's problem was he just could never stay healthy. It's an ankle, it's this, it's the other. And maybe that's a part of being small, getting beat up, getting banged up. When you're playing grown men, your body can only handle so much over the long run. Maybe. But it's the 16th pick in a really weak draft. Just from that general angle, I don't hate the pick. So McCain spoke and said, I'm just excited to get to know them and learn as much as possible from them in regards to Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. I'm waiting for Daryl Morey to speak. Looks like he's getting to the podium right now. We had McCain as a top 10 player in this draft. That was Daryl Morey on the 16th pick. Of course he's going to say that. We were looking at a lot of scenarios with a trade out, a trade back, and that all went away when Jared McCain was there. If you can get a player who is hopefully rotation ready at a very young age, we really think this guy is going to be a 76er for a long time. I'm smiling inside because, that's what Daryl Morey is supposed to say right now. So when there's phone calls being made, he leverages it by saying, dude, you got to realize that we want this kid. So the fact that we're willing to put him in a package to go get player X, Y, and Z, we value him tremendously, and we want him here. The fact that we're putting him in the deal is massive, and you have to understand that. So this is part of the Daryl Morey long-term plan with them. But let's not be completely fooled here, too. Like, there is an angle where if they can't get a trade done, would they be pissed to have to live with the Jared McCain experience? No, absolutely not. But the current state of the franchise, especially after the Knicks managed to pull off what they pulled off, I don't know if you could survive without trying to grab a Paul George, trying to grab a Jimmy Butler, trying to grab even a Brandon Ingram of all players. I don't love any of this. I really don't. I don't love any of these names. But reality is, you can't sit back and just take this path of McCain and Maxey as young kids, because if that's the case, then you do have to trade Joel Embiid. Then you have to change your entire timeline and really sink into, we have to change our entire philosophy and build this structure differently. That's what you'd have to do. And they're not going to do that because it's so hard to find a top 5 talent in this league. And when you have it, you have to do everything in your power to try and surround him. And with the best available person on the trade block / market this year, unfortunately, that player might not be good enough. In other years, maybe there could have been someone flirting around that would have been sexy, and it would have been appealing to them to come to South Philadelphia and make this happen. But for Daryl Morey, the poor timing of this horrible, horrible selection of people and collection of stars, and I'll use air quotes there, it's underwhelming. It's underwhelming. All right, so look. The Knicks acquired Mikal Bridges. Then they re-signed OG. And when the Mikal Bridges trade went down, there was some speculation that now maybe OG walks away and he goes and gets a bag elsewhere. But he decided to financially look at things, make a decision, and stay with the New York Knicks to make another push. To me, that was a no-brainer. Because if you're the Knicks and you swap OG, you let him go, and you bring in Mikal Bridges, yeah, you might be better. But it's not enough of a push if OG leaves too. Now, quite frankly, I don't know if they're good enough to take down Boston. They're better. What I don't agree with is the collection of Sixers fans who make it seem like Mikal Bridges is a nobody and he's just a good player. No, he's better than a good player. Now, you're right that he's not an elite star, but he's better than just a good player. Him, Brunson, OG. They got a good group. Now, maybe that group can't be Boston, but I can't knock them for their attacking mindset, especially compared to what I'm dealing with, which is legitimate pain. And I don't really want to get into this front, but reality is it constantly keeps getting thrown back in my face. Just the Daryl Morey front. Daryl Morey's a joke. Daryl Morey's a bum. Daryl Morey is stupid. I'm going to lay two things out for you right now. If I gave you two options and you have to choose one of these options, which one is closer to reality? Daryl Morey screwed the Sixers up, and when he came here, he pissed it all away. So that's option number one. Or option number two, Daryl Morey is a good president of basketball operations, but the Sixers were so fucked up when he got here that even a good president of basketball operations in the NBA couldn't nail it down. What is closer to reality? Because to me, it's the latter, and it's not even close. Now, that doesn't give him a free pass, all right? There's been things that I wish he did differently, but this is what I can't get behind. The ones that look at the move of trading Ben for Harden instead of Ben for Halliburton and saying that's why he's a bum. I've been around this town for a long time, okay? I've seen a lot of different angles of criticism towards a lot of different general managers in this city. I guarantee that if Daryl Morey traded Ben Simmons for Halliburton, and they're still stuck, because Halliburton is a good player. He's not what you think he is. So if they were to make that trade, which I don't even know if it was fully actually available, but hypothetically for a second, let's say it is, and it was, and they bring in Halliburton, and you're out in the second round and you lose to the Knicks. Okay? Now, all of a sudden, these same people who think Daryl Morey is a bum, now he's not? Now he's not? No. You'd be saying he's an idiot. You'd be saying he's a fool. That one trade with the same result is going to change your perception of him? No, it's not. So that's why I think it's foolish to bring that up. One, you overrate Tyrese Halliburton, and you underrate Daryl Morey. That's kind of how I see it. But anyway, pressure's on. Daryl Morey did leave a little juice on the table in my eyes with Dalton Connect on there. He drafted Tyrese Maxey, which is what I give him a lot of praise for when looking at some of the decisions he made. But see, today's not the day for the Daryl Morey, the process. What about Ben and Markelle Fultz and this and that? Tobias's contract. It's not really what it's about today. But whenever we discuss the future and looking forward, it's hard not to, because the natural progression is, how the hell did we get here? How did we get in this position? And it really goes back to the Mikal Bridges and the Zahir Smith and the extra first-round pick and then the trade to Tobias. But this organization was ran without a general manager at the time of the draft and asked the head coach to pull the strings. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You see why I have an issue? with things prior to the Daryl Morey experience more so than post Daryl Morey, even though this is where we're at. But that's reality of it for me. Now, Daryl Morey is talking about Nick Nurse, and Nick Nurse has been a great partner in the first draft together. Besides being a great coach, I love that Nick's a great partner. He comes in, he's here as much as we are, but at the same time, he knows the scouts put timeless hours in. All right, there's that. Daryl Morey said the team went best player available at 16 rather than going with a need of a wing player. Okay, so that tells me that they feel McCain is going to be a better player than Dalton Knecht, unless, once again, it goes back to this is just a negotiation tactic type of thing. So when he picks up the phone, it's like, you know how I feel about this kid. Best player available. He's better than Knecht. It's just because it's on the record. It's available. It's for the public to see. It's for other GMs to see. And it's the name of the game. Morey on the Sixers not talking to McCain before the draft. Quote, we tend to be a black box when it comes to drafting. So I don't like that people were mocking, as in the mock draft, him to us because we like to keep it closed and like a black box. I don't necessarily know the full context of that one. I get that he's trying to keep things in-house. I understand that. So he doesn't like the fact that people were looking at the mock draft saying, well, I mean, it's not very difficult here to realize that the Sixers are desperate for some shooting. I mean, I feel like that's been the case since this whole damn thing started. We've been relying on Furkan Korkmaz. We've had Brett Brown scream that he's trying to build Obama. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So a shooter, I think it makes sense. I don't think it's that outrageous when you're just using context clues. Sure, wing player too. You need a lot of stuff. Right now, what do the Sixers have? Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Nick Nurse. Right? I mean, seriously. You know what was evil? Right before the Sixers selected, they announced a different trade. But the way that Silver went up to the podium to announce the Sixers pick, you can't do that to us. I mean, we're anticipating a trade all day. I had to throw up a gif of Russell Westbrook yawning because I was so tired of nothing happening. And then you constantly get hit with, well, free agency doesn't technically. Shut up. I'm watching the Knicks make moves nonstop. What are the Sixers doing? I'm at my breaking point. Dude, I'm so at my breaking point that I heard on, this is the Twitter account Boardroom that has 100,000 followers. It's a media and news company. And they put out some information on Paul George. And I am so disappointed that this is where we're at, but it's reality, it's where we're at. So, in the beginning, when the season first ended, in the beginning of kind of turning the page over from last year to this year, one of my takes was I don't want to overpay Paul George because it reminds me of paying a non-max contract player max contract money. And you just got rid of Tobias, so this is a Tobias 2.0 type of deal, although I never see a circumstance where Paul George gives a 0 in a closeout game. Maybe 7, maybe 8, maybe 6, but not 0. All right? But now that we're moving forward here, and I let my emotions die down, and then I recognize that, well, we only have very limited options here. Unfortunately for us, he might be your best option if you're trying to squeeze all the juice out of the Joel Embiid lemon. But Boardroom brings this up. Paul George says that he spent time watching film on Stephen A., Shannon Sharp, Chad Ochocinco to help him become a better podcaster. Just like he watches film and he watches himself and he watches opponents on the basketball floor, something that he has done to improve himself in media is look at Stephen A. and just look at Shannon Sharp and Cam Newton and others to see how he can best develop his skill set. Now, I have no problem with that. And quite frankly, I respect that because there's probably a lot of people who go from the court, goes from the field, and they want to automatically get into this, and they just put a mic in front of their face, and they don't realize that there is a craft to study in it, right? So I like that, and I think that's awesome. And quite frankly, I did the same thing when I first started getting going, when I wanted to make this my real future. But, and I know everybody's not the same, but I was a college hockey player. Played hockey from 4 to 22, 18 years of my life. You know when I realized that hockey wasn't for me anymore and I didn't have the same burn, I didn't have the same passion? When I started watching sports talk radio with a different eye, or listening maybe is a better way to explain it. When I started to pick apart media members and write down in a notebook that I kept under my bed things I loved, things I didn't love. When I started listening to national sports talk radio hosts to figure out my lane on what I wanted to do. Did I like the national? Did I like the local? Did I like what this host did? Did I not like what this host did? Did I like the guests they had on? Did I not like the guests they had on? Did I like the way they asked the guests their questions? Did I not like their question? What was it about each individual person from a national and local level do I like and dislike, and how will I adapt to that and make it sort of my own version of the things I like? I mean, I was sucked in. And that was the first step into me realizing that hockey, it's almost taken the back seat. And what I used to love so much about the game and hockey and that, all that love and passion and burn was in media. So am I about to go out and spend big cash on Paul George when he's got 1 foot out the basketball door, whether he knows it or not, whether it's subconsciously happening or not? Because I didn't know day one. I didn't know day two, the second I fell in love with sports talk radio, that was organically happening. But there was almost about a month or two in when, I'm thinking about the weight room, but I don't want to go to the weight room because there's a show on that I want to listen to that starts at a certain time that I want to get my notepad out. I'm telling you, it might sound foolish. I know I wasn't an NBA player. I was a role player in college hockey, Division III, NCAA. It's not apples to apples, but I think psychologically and subconsciously there is a truth to that. So I respect it from a media perspective. I respect it from someone who knows what it's like to be in the beginning stages of the pod and this and that. I love that, but I don't love it from a basketball sense, for whatever it's worth. All right, so Jay Billis put out a video on Twitter sharing his thoughts on Jared McCain. Just note that this is a dookie talking about a dookie. All right? I don't disagree with his thoughts. I lean towards agreeing with them. But I'm just saying, I think he's got some love tied to the Duke culture. Just taking a random shot in the dark. All right, take a listen.
Jared McCain is a winner, and he's one of the hardest workers you're ever going to see, and he's got an infectious personality and a spirit and an attitude that you just frankly don't see that often. On the court, he's an ultra-competitive killer, an outstanding shooter. Even though he's small, McCain is just 6'2", and he doesn't have crazy long arms or anything, but McCain gets in there and rebounds. He's tough. He's physical, and he's really strong, but he's just got that trait of being a winner and being a leader. And he had games for Duke this last year where he just took over, at Florida State in the NCAA tournament, scoring over 30. He's an outstanding player. The only downside, if you will, is he's not bigger. You wish he was bigger. If you're good enough, you're big enough. And Jared McCain is good enough.
Yeah, listen, I don't think that that's off base, even though there is an emotional connection with Duke. I don't think that that's outrageous what he say. Maybe, maybe like stretched a little bit, but a lot of what he's saying isn't off base from what people who weren't going to Duke or who didn't play at Duke or who didn't have any ties to Duke would say about McCain. It's all in the same lane and the same path. So I don't mind it, but I just don't feel that he's going to be here for this significant amount of time, considering 1 minute ago, John Clark tweeted, "We are planning on being the best team in the East next season." In quotes, up there with the Boston Celtics. Sixers president of basketball operations, Daryl Morey, says tonight. And then John Clark expands on it and says, sounds like he's got a big free agent plan after drafting Jared McCain. You don't say we plan on being the best team in the East next season and not having a secondary move here. Because as currently constructed, even with McCain, you got Celtics, Bucks, until proven otherwise. Beatable, but until proven otherwise, I'll put Bucks above them. At this point, I have to go Knicks. Knicks knocked you out this year. Knicks got better. Right now, I don't see you being better than what you were last year. So you should have beaten the Knicks. You didn't. So I put the Knicks above you. Do I put the Pacers above them? I really don't think the Pacers are better than them. I really don't. I'm going to give the Sixers the benefit of the doubt because Embiid and Maxey and that duo alone. I mean, as much as the Knicks are deeper, I still think the better star power is within the Sixers. I just don't know what any of the corresponding moves are yet to counter what the Knicks have done. So that's sort of my 2 cents on it. So why don't we get your reaction on the Anytime Hotline about the acquisition and the move? Once again, to summarize real quickly, there was someone on the table that was better for me in Dalton Connect. I would have liked that more. I think the reason behind this move has to do with a trade more so than anything else. It's an easier piece to move, I think, from a general sense. And if you are, I guess I'll say, stuck with McCain for whatever reason, even though I'm really doubting that, it's fine. It's not a bad pick. There just could have been more meat left on the bones. Not a bad pick. He could shoot the ball. His shooting isn't just going to evaporate. There's been 6'2" guards who could shoot in this league prior. I just think that maybe if he was 6'6" with the same shooting ability, well, then the ceiling grows. He's 6'2". But sometimes at 6'2", you're always told forever and ever and ever, you're 6'2", you're 6'2". It's going to be hard. You have to do this. You have to do that. And it's stuck in your brain that you have to play a certain way due to your size, and that motivates you and that grabs you, and then it kicks in a new gear and a different sense of urgency, a different work ethic, things of that nature. And that's why you see sometimes TJ McConnell's still in the league. All right, TJ McConnell is still in the league. If TJ McConnell can hang on, I feel someone with the skill set of McCain, as long as the work ethic matches, can be there. Like, imagine if, and I don't even think it's that crazy, if McCain had a work ethic of TJ, or if McCain had a work ethic of Maxey, which I don't think is that ludicrous. Well, TJ McConnell's surviving. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. Let's go to the Anytime Hotline.
Hey, bros. I just thought I'd call in about the Sixers, and, I know a lot of fans kind of freaking out about the Knicks going and getting Mikal Bridges. But to me, I'm not really worried about that. I mean, the Celtics and the Knicks and the Bucks and any contending team in the Eastern Conference knows that, and they're trying to accomplish the same goal in beating the Celtics. And to be honest, if you look at what the Knicks are going to be adding compared to last year's team, where that series was a dogfight, I have no doubt in my mind we can be on the same court as the Knicks. It's really just going to be Mikal Bridges. Now, if we can't add a player of Mikal Bridges' value or Mikal Bridges this offseason with all the cap space that we have from Tobias, now that's a different discussion. Then we got to start talking about Daryl Morey and what he brings to the table. But as of right now, I'm not really too worried. It doesn't freak me out the same as when the Celtics got Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis last year. I just thought that was a much bigger acquisition.
Sure, I don't disagree, and obviously they brought back OG, but if you're comparing it to last year's roster, OG was available for them, and they got banged up, which I think limited what they could be and all, but I think you're downplaying Mikal Bridges. Like, Mikal Bridges, I agree that he's not, well, see, here's the thing. Raw natural talent-wise, I think he's better than Drew, but Drew has this winning pedigree. He's also able to have the ball in his hands as a guard vibe, which is a lot different. You also have Derek White, which changes a lot as well, considering he's really good in that particular role. Boston's different. But, yes, you have a different roster with Tobias being gone. And you're right. You know what you're saying, I think, relates similar to what I'm talking about in regards to Embiid's greatness and Maxey. And, you have a star power in Joel Embiid that the Knicks don't have. Brunson's no joke. And Brunson is better than Maxey right now. All right? I don't know if Maxey gets to that level. I got to give my respect to Brunson. That dude turned it on. But Joel Embiid is better than Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is better than Tyrese Maxey. And Mikal Bridges is probably better than Tyrese Maxey. I'm just trying to figure this whole thing out. But if you get Paul George, is Paul George, Embiid, and Maxey as a three-headed monster, is that automatically better than Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG, and the depth of that team? Now, maybe they lose Hartenstein, they lose the center, which was annoying with the shot, and that aggravated you, and it seemed like maybe he's going to go in a different direction. That was the latest I saw, but that was about last night. His name hasn't popped up on my timeline in quite some time. But I guess if Paul George is who I think he is, I think it's more competitive than maybe you're giving it credit for. Because it's going to be another super thin Sixers team versus a deep Knicks team with still really good power in their upper echelon talent. So I think it could go 7. I think it could go toe-to-toe. I think even the Sixers could win in 6, theoretically. But I think it's closer than you're giving it credit for as well. But yeah, we're all chasing the Celtics for sure. And guess what? Regardless of if the Sixers could be better than the Knicks, could be better than the Pacers, could be better than the Bucks, I don't know how they get better than the Celtics. I just don't. Now you have to get better than those teams to get to the point where you're neck and neck with the Celtics. So it is relevant. But I'm down bad. All right, I'm down bad. That's reality.
Just saw this draft pick. Don't really know how I feel about it. Really kind of wanted a big man or like an athletic wing. Kid seems like he's a nice guy. Good fit with Maxey, hopefully, and with Embiid. We'll have to see how he plays. He was, his numbers were good in college, but we're trying to be I don't even know. I can't even say I like the pick. I don't really know much about the guy in first impressions of just the TikToks and all this crap. I don't think Joel Embiid's going to be making any TikToks with this guy. And that's kind of rubbing me the wrong way. Really want some tough, hard-playing guys.
Wait. What's rubbing you the wrong way is you don't think Joel Embiid will make a TikTok with him? That was just a funny statement, man. I guess that's the state of professional athletes, but just the way you said that. I don't think you meant it in a way. I think you were just being harmless about it, but the way that comment hits me is just hilarious. But, you say that you want a tough guy. I mean, he plays tough. He doesn't play the way that he dances on TikTok. That I know. I mean, the kid played at Duke and is giving you 30 points in NCAA tournament games deep into the run. He's no joke. He could ball. He might do some things on TikTok that we can't relate to, and I don't relate to it, but I don't have to relate to it. And yeah, there's some older school guys in the locker room. It's not as if, they're in the range of, like, when he's 35 and he's the veteran in the room, And then the younger generations coming after him, although they'll be different from the Jared McCains of the world, and they'll be doing things that Jared McCain can't relate to. So it's one big circle and one big cycle. But in regards to playing hard and all, and I want him to be tough, well, and I'm not knocking you. There were a lot of kids today that I had no idea who the hell they were. I don't watch French basketball. I got no clue. So I'm not knocking you for not watching every second of Duke basketball and not knowing too much about him. But if you do watch the way he plays the game, it doesn't correlate to maybe his personality online. It's the same with Maxey. I mean, if I showed you Tyrese Maxey, the person outside of the baller, those are two extremes with personalities. Tyrese Maxey's not tough. I'm seriously. Tyrese Maxey's not Matt Barnes off the court. Dude, smiley as hell. Hi, Miss Kate. Hi, Miss Kate. That's what he says when he's talking on the broadcast before he gets interviewed after the game. Miss Kate. Thank you, Miss Kate. He goes, Miss Kate. Kid just, showing respect, but in a little kid smiley way. He could put the ball in the hoop, but it's not even going to matter because I think he's going to get traded. All right, everybody. Those are my thoughts. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. Appreciate it. Talk to you on the next one.